baby, could you speak a little louder? He spoke in the same tone. He knew enough about his ability or his skills that he knew if he talked too loud, it would sound strained. It wouldn't sound natural. But I admired the way he knew himself. He knew his ability. And he was just, he was a funny man. He loved to tell stories. He was always telling some story that happened about his work and people he worked with. But he was just a pleasant person to be around. I admire him very much.
That's great. How about directors? Who's your favorite director you've worked with? I mean, you really have. Otto Preminger, King Vidor, Clint Eastwood, Steven Spielberg, I mean, Ron Walsh. You worked with Humphrey Bogart.
Well, I taught Spielberg all he knows.
Well, we figured that.
No, you'll be surprised at this, but my favorite director was Clint Eastwood. Clint knows or knew his stuff when I worked on shows with him. He knew his stuff. And he was very low-key, and actors respected him. He just seemed like he knew what to do to get the thing. A lot of times he would print the first take. He's been known to print the rehearsal. But he likes to see actors do things in a natural way that comes across unrehearsed, I guess. But I really admire Clint. I really do.
Do you think that's because he's an actor himself, probably?
Probably so, yes, yeah. But, yeah, I think I've done 6 films with him. Switzerland, a couple places here. But he'd come on the set very low-key. He was not the talkative type that stand around and chew the fat and talk. He was focused. He talked a little bit, but he didn't make he wouldn't talk a lot. And I respected that.
Did you start with the spaghetti westerns then with him, or?
He was about 3 or 4 years ahead of me in the spaghetti westerns. That's the films that they shoot in Italy, cowboy films.
Good, Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah, Good, Bad, the Ugly. But so I was an Italian director came over here to cast somebody. He had planned to use the guy that played Hoss Cartwright, what's his name, in Bonanza. But anyway, he was going to, Dan Blocker.
All right.
Anyway, he was going to put Dan Blocker in the lead of one of his films, one of the spaghetti westerns that they were going to shoot in Italy and Yugoslavia. And, but Dan got sick and he couldn't go. So they were desperate to hire a big husky actor to play the role. And they called me in that first day, and I was introduced to this Italian director. And we hit it off right away. Next day they said, you're going to be going to Rome to start the film, which was a wonderful time for me. I love the Italians. But it was like going to circus every day. They were so much fun, and I just had a great time. I did another Italian picture over there too.
You know, in your book, and I keep referring back to that, because I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got to know you very well.
Thank you.
I think we're old friends. But you mentioned that today's blockbusters, you feel that maybe some of them entertain, but they don't necessarily nourish. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Thank you for using that phrase.
Well,
They might entertain, but they don't nourish. I think
they'll need some soul food.
Huh?
Need some soul food.
There's not much substance in there. And I don't go to the movies like I used to. I'm a member of the Academy, and I get a chance to see them all. But I just somehow lost interest in today's movies. They have some good ones coming out, but I just lost interest in the American movies as of late. Just something about it that has not real substance.
Any roles that got away, Greg?
Any roles that got away? Yeah, I had several that got away. See, you won't believe this and you'll laugh when I tell you, but I was up for Tarzan.
It was that physique, Greg.
Huh?
It was that physique. You were.
Well, I looked pretty good, but they thought my legs were too lean. So I didn't get the role of Tarzan. They were going to use an unknown actor in Oklahoma. successful on the stage that an unknown could play the leads. Then they brought me in to try me out for singing. I guess the guy's named Curly in Oklahoma. And they seemed interested, but they decided to go with a name. And Gordon McCrae got the role. And another one I got was disappointing to me, very disappointing, was when Eric Fleming walked off the set of Rawhide. He was not very pleased with what they were paying him, and he was going to hold out. And hold out for a pretty good amount of money. And so the producers of Rawhide just decided they were going to replace him. And I had done several Rawhides, and I was on the top of the list. Anyway, they brought me in to do a screen test, and they publicized that Gregory Walcott being a screen test. That's what Rawhide. And the producer directed the screen test, and it looked like when I left the soundstage that day, I felt very positive that I had gotten the role in Rawhide as the lead. But Eric Fleming came back to work. They had left him. He came back to work. And
those studios.
Huh?
Those studios.
Yeah.
Tough business.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a trick that they played on him and me too. And it hurt too. It really hurt, you know. Build you up that you were going to be, one of the stars. It hurt. But you got to get used to that in this business.
Yep. I'd have to have a tough rawhide. Have a tough rawhide.
Yeah.
Before I open it up, you've been so many different people's heroes on the screen. You've always played kind of a tough guy. You've played a lot of you've been in a lot of westerns. You've been in a lot of war pictures. And you played a lot of other people's heroes. Who's your hero?
My hero? You mean in films or life?
We'll do both.
Well, that's going to be hard to answer because there are so many people I admire, and so many people I have some apprehensions about. I guess my heroes are all dead.
Okay. Was that a trick question? I'm sorry. Well, so what were they?
Huh?
If they're dead, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ed Wood, what would you like to ask Greg about Ed Wood?
I have a question.
Or maybe about Plan 9, or about his career in general?
I have an Ed Wood question.
Yes, sir.
In the movie, you did a guest shot in the movie Ed Wood starring Johnny Depp.
Yes, yes.
How close was Johnny Depp's interpretation of Ed Wood to the real Ed Wood?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty close. Of course, the director took a lot of liberties, and he did not hold directly to the real Ed Wood. But I thought John Depp did a good job. I was on the show only one day. The director, what's his name?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. He asked me to come over to the set, to his office. He wanted to talk to me because he heard that I had my original script, and he wanted me to talk to him about the script. He asked me questions about certain scenes, and asked me questions in general about Ed Wood. He tried at first to be authentic, but the picture did not quite hold true to the real thing. Who's the guy that won the Academy Award supporting that? Martin Landau, method actor. He was Bela Lugosi all day long. He would prefer you call him fella, yeah. But he was in character all day long, and I tried to be chummy and friendly with him. He would answer me back just like old Martin Landau would, Ed Wood, Bela Lugosi.
But there wasn't a lot of footage of Bela Lugosi.